If you've been paying attention to AI over the last couple of years, you probably noticed the tools kept getting better at one thing in particular, answering your questions. You type a prompt, it gives you an answer. You type another prompt, it gives you another answer. That's the whole relationship. It's been like a very fast, very articulate vending machine. Something shifted in the first part of 2026, and most small business owners haven't noticed it yet because it didn't come with a press conference. The tools that are taking over the market now don't just answer when you ask. They think through a problem, make a plan, and take action across multiple steps without you sitting there prompting them at every turn. It's called Agentic AI, and it's already changing who wins in marketing. I'm going to walk you through 5 things today: how AI tools are reshaping business practices, what Agentic AI really is, why most projects that try it still fail, who's already winning with it, and where that leaves the rest of us who haven't made a move yet. Then I'll tell you what I'm building for businesses like yours. Let me tell you about a woman I'll call Danielle. She runs a 3-person accounting practice. Nothing fancy, just her, an associate, and an office manager. Last year, she signed up for an AI writing tool because a competitor mentioned using AI for marketing at a Chamber of Commerce mixer, and it spooked her. So she's paid for that subscription every month since, and she's used it maybe 6 times. Danielle is not unusual. She's the median small business owner right now. She's tried AI, she hasn't truly implemented it, and she has no idea whether it's actually working for her, because she never set up a way to measure that in the first place. That's the story behind the numbers on the screen. Almost every small business has now touched AI in some form. That adoption curve has moved faster than smartphones, faster than the internet, faster than e-commerce ever did. But touching a tool and running a system are 2 very different things. Most businesses are still in the trying things without a plan stage. A much smaller number have moved into actually building workflows that save time and affect the bottom line in a noticeable way. And here's the part that should make you a little uncomfortable. Most small business owners who haven't adopted AI yet assume their competitors haven't either. But the data says the opposite. The businesses using it well are pulling ahead, quietly, while everyone else assumes the playing field is still level. The term agentic AI gets thrown around loosely, so I'm going to try to be precise. Think about 3 stages. Traditional automation follows rules you set. If thing A happens, do thing B. And this is a great time saver as well, and I love helping with automation, but that's not what this blog is about. Generative AI, the ChatGPT style tool that many of us have used, creates something when you ask it to. So you prompt it and it produces. It's still useful, but it still needs you standing there asking. Agentic AI is different. It identifies a problem, works out a plan, and takes action, often across several steps, largely on its own. It doesn't just draft the post. It knows what the post needs to say based on your brand, publishes it on a schedule, checks how it performed, and adjusts the next one accordingly. It's less like a tool you pick up and more like a capable new hire who doesn't sleep and doesn't need the task re-explained. Here's a comparison. Imagine the difference between a bookkeeper who only enters what you hand them versus a bookkeeper who notices your cash flow is about to get tight in 6 weeks and flags it before you ask. It's the same title, but completely different value. That's the gap between generative AI and agentic AI. And the reason I'm qualified to explain this to you is that my own training is grounded in Google Cloud's frameworks for responsible business-ready AI deployment, which is the same discipline used to guide enterprise adoption. But what I do is scale it to fit a business your size. Because how well this gets deployed matters as much as the technology itself. And that's where most businesses stumble, which brings me to the part almost nobody talks about honestly. Here's the tell that separates people getting real value from this shift from people who are just poking around with it. The amateur move is typing, "Build me a marketing plan for my business," into a chatbot once and hoping for the best. You can get something generic, and then you can never be sure that you executed the recommendations correctly. I want to be fair to the technology because that's the part that gets misreported constantly. A large share of AI agent projects get abandoned or canceled within a couple of years of starting. And that's not because the AI doesn't work. Every serious analysis of why these projects fail points to the same three culprits. One, no one defined what success looked like. Two, nobody owned it once it was running. And three, the scope was vague from the start. There's also another problem hiding in plain sight. A lot of what gets sold to small businesses as AI agents is really just a rebranded chatbot. Real agentic capability, planning, acting, remembering, improving, is much rarer in the market than its marketing suggests. If you've paid for an AI agent and you still need to do a lot of the work, you didn't buy an agent. The expert move looks completely different. We give it one clearly defined job grounded in real business data with a human accountable for its processes, and we give it more responsibility only after it's proven itself. It's like a new hire. You don't just hand someone keys to the whole operation on day one. You watch how they do a job and you build trust from there. And that's why agentic AI tends to go better as a guided process than a weekend DIY experiment. Here's the pattern I want you to take away from this video, because it's the one thing that shows up consistently everywhere I look, from large enterprises to solo entrepreneurs. The businesses who are ahead of the curve aren't buying one giant do-everything tool and calling it a day. They're assembling small teams of specialized agents, the way you build out a small department. One that watches competitors and flags what's shifting, one that manages customer relationships from end to end. And you don't have to imagine this at enterprise scale to see how it might work. Here's a real example. There's a small UK salon marketing operator who built her own AI-driven booking and marketing tools after watching local salons struggle to fill appointments, no matter how much they spent on conventional advertising. She wasn't running a Fortune 500 IT department. She was solving one very specific, painful problem for businesses her own size. Or look at the growing number of solo founders who are now running several small businesses at once, not by working more hours, but by handing off research, content, and customer follow-up to a curated stack of narrow, purpose-built agents, instead of one overworked assistant trying to do everything at once. Until recently, that kind of coordinated, specialized setup was completely out of reach for a small business. The cost and complexity belonged to businesses with real marketing departments. That's no longer the case. The gap isn't the technology anymore. It's who applies it well first. And your competitors, even the ones with smaller budgets than yours, are already asking themselves how they can leverage something like this. So here's where that leaves the small business owners who are watching this video right now. Nearly every small business has touched AI by now. A much smaller number have actually turned it into a system that saves time, cuts cost, or grows revenue. That's not a critique, it's just where the curve is right now. And it's exactly where Danielle from the first part of this video still sits. She has a tool in her hand, but no plan, and no idea if it's working. The businesses that cross from trying to growing aren't the ones using the most AI. They're the ones who are doing it purposefully. And they're measuring it against a result. Everything I've walked you through today points at that same line. And the uncomfortable truth is that that gap isn't closing on its own. It's widening. And most business owners assume they have more time than they do to figure it out. The businesses that get this quickly are going to have a real advantage over the ones who wait to see how it plays out. And I'm not trying to create urgency for its own sake. I'm saying it because I'd rather tell you plainly than let you find out the hard way, which is why I've been working on something to help close that gap for you instead of leaving you to figure it out alone. This is where the product committee comes in and where I'll be direct about it. I'm building purpose-built agents for small businesses, not a generic AI subscription, but tools designed around one real specific business problem at a time. So the first one that I built is a media planning agent. You can tell it your budget, your business, your customer, and your goals, and it hands back a real plan and steps to execute it. It's grounded in actual best practices. If you'd rather build something like this in-house yourself, I'll help with that too. That's the kind of consulting work that I do regularly. And it's some of the most satisfying work I'd get to do because it means you walk away owning the capability instead of renting it from me forever. If you do want to find out more about the media planning agent tool, I'm opening early access to it soon. So join the waitlist at theproductcommittee.com/media-planning-agent. And if you'd rather just talk through it first, you can book a 30-minute consulting session with me. And I'll answer any questions you have, and we can start to make a plan for your business.
Strategy video blog. One small